Hi, this is Zach with Warner Wound. Today I'll be taking a look at the Davosa Argonautic ceramic. This is a cool modern diver with a affordable price of $719. And for that you're getting a Swiss-made diver with a ceramic bezel, sapphire crystal, and an ETA 2824-2. There's a few different models in this series. This specific model is called the Argonautic gun. That's because it's a gunmetal finish. It's like an ion-plated coating. As you can see in the light, it is not quite black. It has kind of a silvery, dark gray color, which is very kind of nice and interesting. Let's take a closer look at it now. The case of the Davosa Argonautic has a very kind of bold, but kind of classically styled shape to it. It's 42 millimeters in diameter. 50 millimeters from lug to lug with a 22 millimeter lug width, and it's about 13.5 millimeters tall, making it, kind of a solid medium-sized sport watch. It's definitely not oversized, which I happen to like a lot. Perhaps the most interesting thing, though, about the case is, in the name of the watch, and that is the gun IP coating. So what's really nice about that is that, it's a little different than your standard PVD black coating. It gives the watch kind of a little bit more texture because you have the black of the dial, the black of the ceramic bezel insert, and then this not quite black, almost kind of silverish gunmetal coating. And it just, it distinguishes a little bit, and it's a very attractive dark gray color in my opinion. So now the case design stuff, like I said, is very kind of classic, simple shape, kind of very big, chunky lugs here, which I happen to like a lot. Big crown guards coming off and surrounding the screw-in crown at 3 o'clock. You'll notice at 10 there is a manual helium escape valve, so you can actually unscrew that to release helium if that's something you would ever need to do because you're in a saturation environment. Taking a look at the side of the watch, it has like I said, it's 13.5 isn't that thick, but certainly a substantial thickness. And some of that is made up by the bezel here, which has some very nice tooth markings that make it very easy to grasp. A little bit about the bezel. It is a 60-click unidirectional bezel. It's not really stiff. It actually, it turns fairly easily, but just snap into place pretty nicely. I don't think you would run into a circumstance where it would turn accidentally, which, is good. But it also isn't the stiffest or sharpest bezel that I've ever felt. Turning it over, you can see just a little bit here. Bracelet's probably in the way, but has a screw-in case back. The IP coating does not follow onto the case back here. It's polished with some etching on it. It's actually kind of a very nice-looking etched surface. The dial of the Davosa Argonautic has a bold contemporary look to it. On the dial, there's one primary index, and that is these white, large rectangles. They're almost oversized for the dial, and then this very, very large inverted triangle at 12. I really like the scale of these to the dial. Like I said, they're almost oversized. If they were a touch larger, I think they would be, but they're not. They work very nicely, and they give the watch kind of a very bold look, as well as great legibility. 3 o'clock here, you have a date window. Nice little detail here is that they give it this kind of double ring, which kind of helps the white on black date integrate into the dial as well as make the whole thing stand out. So it doesn't really feel like an unwanted break so much as, kind of a real added feature to the design. Looking at the ceramic bezel here, it's ceramic black with white index inlay. It's kind of a classic dive, elapsed time index here. One thing I was quite surprised by, though, was that there's actually no lume present in the bezel, not even at 12 o'clock, which would be kind of a typical for a dive watch. That being said, it is extremely crisp and legible in all other, lighting situations. Now another aspect of the dial, you have this text on the dial, so it says Davosa just below 12, and then there's a bunch of kind of stacked text here above 6. It says automatic, 1,000 feet or 30 atmospheres, and then Argonautic in red. I quite like that the Argonautic there was featured in red. It's kind of adds a little more personality to the watch, and also kind of refers to some classic dive watches that used red lines on their dial. Now taking a look at the hands of the watch. Yet another feature I quite like, if get it yet. I actually quite like the styling of this watch. I think everything really kind of works nicely together. So the hands here, you have this very large white triangle, hour hand, and then this white Roman sword minute hand. Both have kind of a skeletonized black portion towards the center, giving them a bit of a floating look. They're very well proportioned to the dial, and I think they add to the personality and they add to the legibility, which is exactly what you want in a good handset. On the wrist, the Argonautic is a very comfortable watch with a great presence. Clearly, it has a very bold look to it, which I think this specific model, the gun model, kind of adds to, because you have such high contrast between the white of the indices and then the dark gray bracelet and case. I happen to think it's actually a great looking watch for an aggressive sport watch. Definitely not a dress watch type, but it's aggressive and fun. Definitely good for casual wear and good for various active sport activities. Taking a look at the bracelet, it's a 22 millimeter bracelet. It's actually a very nicely constructed bracelet, I think. Has this kind of 5-link design, though these are, they're not individual pieces. It's just, kind of one link, then another link, then another link that kind of integrate into the case pretty nicely here. I think, overall it's nicely detailed. The top surface of the bracelet is brushed, then the sides are actually brushed too, but it has kind of a nice directionality to it. Overall, just very nice, very good bracelet to come with watch, I think, in this price range. Obviously the clasp here is signed. One thing to note, this doesn't have like a quick, as easy of a change bracelet as say something with screws on the side. You do have to have a bracelet changing tool that pushes the little pins through, though if you have that, it's quite easy to change. The watch also came with a NATO strap, which I'll show you that now. Another totally great option for the Argonautic is to put it on a NATO, such as this 5-stripe NATO that is by Davosa. I think the 5-stripe look here with dark light gray and a line of black kind of actually makes the watch almost more aggressive looking and bolder, and at the same time, more casual than the bracelet. So it's really, just a great option for lighter weather or for more, active circumstances. To wrap up, the Davosa Argonautic is this modern diver, Swiss-made modern diver that I think has some really good components and really nice looks for a watch in its price range, being $719. For that, just to reiterate, you have a ceramic bezel, you have a sapphire crystal, you have an ETA 2824-2 movement, 300 meter water resistance. Overall, very nice build quality in both the case and the bracelet that it comes with. So, it's a very nice package. There are a couple things I was a little surprised by. Namely that the bezel lacked lume, which I think for a functional dive watch might limit its capabilities. Similarly, having never used a helium escape valve in an actual dive situation, I don't know how practical a manual helium escape valve is. But, I think having the crown at 10 adds kind of something to the aggressive aesthetic, which I think is really more what's at play here. So it looks very cool, and it does have a secondary function if one needs it. It's a very cool watch. I think if you're looking for a modern-looking diver with some aggressive styling and you like that kind of different IP gun metal coloring, which is very cool, this might be a great watch for you to look at. Once again, this is Zach with Worn Around. Make sure to read the full article on wornaround.com. Follow us on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram.